It's me, your boyfriend slash girlfriend slash stay friends, favorite content creator. And I gotta say, you guys, this gets a little bit tiring. What is the obsession with making video games as inaccessible as possible? From the gamer side, from the consumer side, not that people actually make it. It seems like the new frontier of eternal bitching next to, character's a minority, character is some sort of sexual minority, or character is just not a straight white guy. We have, someone put optional things in the game that I don't have to engage with, but it makes me mad anyways. The most recent target of this is the Death Stranding 2 announcement that it is possible to beat the game without beating the bosses. Yes, Hideo Kojima and crew decided to make the ultimate taboo gamer sin of allowing people to enjoy the story of his game, even though they might not have the technical know-how or the gaming experience to beat all their bosses. And I know I'm being sort of like facetious when I say that, but in all honesty, I think that's great. I am very confused as to when we've arrived at a point where how people play a game that they bought is anyone else's fucking concern. Outside of a multiplayer game like online, people like cheating. Who gives a shit? And if you do give a shit, why? What does the option take away from you? It's the same conversation that was had about Doom to Dark Age, where you can change the sliders for difficulty. I remember people talking about how that ruins Doom or whatever. You control the buttons you press. If you do not want to engage in this mechanic, you quite simply don't have to engage in the mechanic. It doesn't have to be an attack on all gamers. It doesn't have to be this, well, they're only doing it because of the woke modern audience. They're doing this because they want people to play their games. I'm reminded of when Alana Pierce, if you don't know, made a video talking about accessibility and how a lot of people are stupid and took that video to say that having children is a form of a disability or handicap, when that's not what she was talking about, right? I've talked this before, but if you don't want to watch all the videos, problem is essentially saying that games that don't allow you to pause, like the FromSoft games, like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, games that don't allow you to pause, present an extra challenge for people who don't have like the luxury of just being able to play all day, right? You have a kid, and let's say your kid's asleep, and then they wake up and they're crying and screaming, but you're about to fight Radon. It's like you don't get the option to just pause the game. You now are temporarily or situationally disabled because you do not have the ability to attend to your child while this is happening. So you have to, stop the game or lose progress or whatever the case, instead of just pausing.
People who are asking for accessibility are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket.
And that is a form of accessibility. And they were upset. How dare you call children a disability? How dare you do this? How dare you do that? But people with, functioning brains could understand the point she was making because it's very valid. This notion that games have to be balls to the wall hard all the time. There can be no reprieve. There's only one level and it's you die in real life if you lose in the game is stupid. It is. It's fucking dumb. A game does not become less difficult because you can pause it, right? Having more accessibility options doesn't make a game universally easier. It's just more accessible. If you, for example, aren't colorblind, why do you care if a game offers a colorblind mode? You don't have to engage in that. Why do you care if a game has like an arachnophobia mode or a, story mode where there's no combat. Why do you care? If they're offering the hardcore balls to the wall, again, every bullet you shoot in this game takes an actual dollar amount from your real checkings account, like that kind of hard, then what does it matter if there's an easy baby mode where if you look at an enemy, they give you flowers? Like, who cares? It's your experience is your experience. But the fact that you're trying to like shame people having a different experience is totally weird. We don't need this. We don't. There should be games where I can play it and be bad at it and still experience the story, especially if these aren't combat-focused games. Death Stranding 2 is not a combat-focused game. It is clearly a story-driven game. That's all Kojima games. They're story-driven, with just some combat elements in it. So if I'm not really great at the combat, but I'm really invested in the story, I should be able to see that story through, even if I can't beat all the bosses. Same thing with a Soulsborne game, right? I should be able to pause it. I should. Oh, the producer himself was confused why people weren't using mimic tears during Elden Ring. It's there for a reason. You can use it to make shit easier. It's okay if you make things easier. A game's experience is not dedicated on how hard it is. It really isn't, okay? You shouldn't want to only play a game because it's super difficult and it has to be super difficult, because that's subjective, right? What's hard for you could be easy for someone else. So accessibility sort of creates an equity within gaming. You can now experience this game at your level and still get what you want out of it. My ideal gaming world, every game is like that. Every single game has an option where you can just adjust it to where you're at, and not just medium, easy, hard, whatever. Like actual sliders adjust the enemy strength, or the size of the subtitles, or all those things. You get to curate it for your experience so you can experience what I want you to as a creator. I want you to experience my story. So if you need, again, subtitles, which no one has a problem with that, but someone has a problem with a pause button, which is weird to me, that's okay. If you need it to where, hey, you can lose these bosses, but we'll still move you on, because guess what? It's not like the game actually stops when you lose to a boss, right? You just restart it until you beat the boss. You just pretend you beat the boss, right? There's no like, oh my God, you cheated yourself and you cheated the game. No, like, game's programmed to continue regardless. So that's good. We have to stop this notion of like the get good thing. I think it's fucking stupid. I really think it is. We're past that. Now it should just be enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. And I can hear the losers going, oh, this is like a game journalist mode. This is for game journalists, whatever. I need you to understand something. That is such a stupid point to make. I know you're thinking of the Cuphead video. Everyone saw that video. We also saw the story behind it, right? And how that came to be. Most journalists who have to, or I should say reviewers, but since we use the word journalists so loosely, most game journalists have to beat the games that they cover. Like if they're doing a review of the game, they've either beaten it or have covered a significant portion of it. So they can talk about it. And it doesn't matter if you guys are going to say, well, they get guides to where to go. They don't get guides on beating it. They still have to beat it. If I told you, yeah, if you go across this hill in this game, there is a secret boss there, and after you beat him, you get this item. You still have to then beat the boss, right? The boss isn't beaten because you discovered where it is. So that's just a dumb argument on its face. But more to the point of this video, I'm very tired of there always being an issue in games. And the issue is coming from certain types of gamers, capital G derogatory, that are miserable, perpetually unhappy groups, pugs. I've talked about that before. All they want to do is create a nauseating whirlpool of just the worst sort of analysis you can think of, which essentially is them complaining that the world is not what it was when they were a child. There's too many options now. Now too many people are playing games, and they're going to make it worse, and all these things, all these dumb, stupid things. This is why we are in such dire straits when it comes to the gaming community. These people have been giving voices for way too long. Now they have audiences. And now every time a game comes out, some fucking wannabe loser just copies what they're doing. And now we have 1 billion people talking about why, Doom the Dark Age is woke now because there's a woman in it. Or we're talking about now Marvel Rivals is a gay psyop because Emma Frost has thick legs. Like, we're at a point where nothing makes sense and people are just spewing nonsense. And it has to stop. Having accessibility options in a game will always be good. Will always be good. You don't have to use it. I don't know how much more I can stress that fact. You don't have to use it. If there are a set of stairs, and then there's an elevator, and then there's an escalator, and you are able-bodied, you can just take the stairs. You're not forced to use the escalator or the elevator, right? But it's nice to have as an option, especially for people who do need the escalator or do need an elevator. It takes away nothing from you who can just walk up the stairs. It takes nothing away from you from a game having a pause button. It takes nothing away from you games having, an ability to adjust enemies' health numbers, the amount of enemies that appear on the screen, what appears on the screen, none of that. If you can skip a boss, whatever. There was Grand Theft Auto games where you could skip missions if you failed too many times, or at least the driving portion, because it was annoying, right? No one cared about that. It was a nice feature, actually. All these things help with video games. They help with the player experience. If you don't need that, then don't use it. Kind of the whole point of the video, I guess. If you don't need it, don't use it. If you don't like it, don't play it. Yeah, I probably could have just said that. I probably could have just said that, huh? It would have saved some time. But you know what? I'm a yapper. And I feel like I have to consistently repeat myself, even though no matter what I say, people will still go in the comments and be like, so why are you so anti-gamer or whatever, right? But yeah, you guys, it's stupid. Why are we doing this now? Just play the game you want to play. Use the features you want to use. If you don't like a certain addition that is purely optional, say it with me. Don't use that feature. Yes, good jobs. Okay, bye.